This is Adrian Cowan from Seven Spires.
This is Ben from Goat Whore.
Hi, I'm Errol of Purest of Pain and My Own.
This is Dallas from Narcotic Wasteland.
This is Taylor Washington from Paladin, and you're listening to the Great Metal Debate Podcast.
Hail, Dark Acolytes. Welcome back to the show for another metal artist interview. I'm joined by Gog and Blind from Dark Epic Metalers Summoner's Circle. Guys, thank you all so much for coming on the Great Metal Debate.
Thanks a lot. Yeah, it's great to be here.
There's a bunch of things that I want to talk with you guys about, but let's start with the show tonight at Brickyard in Knoxville, Tennessee. First, how did this hometown bill, with you guys on the bill with Atlanta Power Thrashers Paladin and hometown instrumental metalers Neanderthal?
Well, we had played with Neanderthal back, when was that?
It was pre-pandemic. I think it was actually the last show that we did.
Yeah, and then and then we played with them again with the Obsessed earlier this year.
We did,
and we were talking, and we were just like, we wanted another show together, so let's get something. We'll wait, the requisite amount of time you wait before you play in your hometown again, and set something up. And we set it up through Roger with Black Hearts Productions, and he was like, let's get someone from out of town in here, and he hooked up with Paladin, and we were stoked when we heard that they were going to come up.
Is that something that you maybe sometimes think a little bit more about? Like, if there's an opportunity in another city, you may just jump at it, but like thinking through when you want to do those hometown shows, don't want to oversaturate the market?
Absolutely. We try to play here maybe 3 times a year, 4 times a year. It's been a little bit more because it's been harder to get out and travel. Now that things are open, I guess we've been playing a few more shows locally just to get the rust off, since things have opened back up. But, we try to spend most of our time, out in the region when we're not, like, on a full tour or something like that, so.
Tonight's show has a variety of styles. You guys played with a lot of different bands, a variety of styles in the past, I know, including a bill with our friends, folk metalers Winter Hymn. Do you guys like the experience of hitting the stage when your own music maybe it stands in contrast with the other artists on the bill?
I think it makes the show a lot more fun. There are definitely those people who might complain that, there's, this blackened progressive doom death metal band playing with these power metalers and this folk rock stuff. But I think that keeps it interesting. It to me, it's always a lot of fun to have multiple genres. I mean, even when we were on the Children of Bodom tour, we were kind of the odd man out on that tour. We were the only costumed act. We're the only American band on it. And, definitely the Bodom, fast and heavy. Swallow the Sun, very melodic and beautiful and still heavy. And Wolfhard, just crazy bitchin' ass metal. It's awesome. And then there was us. And we kind of ran the gamut of going from really heavy to really melodic to back to heavy, and it's just fun to do it that way. I think it keeps things interesting.
Kind of brings out the styles, doesn't it?
I think so. You're always going to have your gatekeepers and those people that, you can't have a doom metal band play with a black metal band, or, that kind of crap like that. But, man, it's just, to me, it's music, and I love it, and I love the variety of styles we get on a lot of the bills. Sometimes we'll go out and look for that. I mean, there's an industrial band that's been around here for a long time that we're looking to try to do something with just because,
Since this is the first time we've had you on the show, if you don't mind, for folks who aren't familiar, can you give us the thumbnail sketch of how the band Summoner Circle came together?
I was in between projects. I had left my other band, and I was filling in on bass for that industrial band that they're friends of mine, and wanted to do something different. And I wanted to do something with no limitations, where I didn't have another band member telling me, oh, we can't do that, that doesn't sound like us, or, that riff is too weird, no one can groove to something that's in the 7/4 time, that kind of stuff. And I got together with a friend of mine, our original rhythm guitarist, Gog, and we started, just writing some things. And after one night, we came up, we had some pretty cool riffs, and he was kind of like, that riff is cool, let's give it a name so we can remember it, so we called the, he said, let's call the riff Summoner Circle, and I just kind of said, let's call the band Summoner Circle, and from there it was just like, we always both wanted to do costumed, act, big Alice Cooper fan growing up, of course Kiss and other King Diamond, things like that, and it was just like, we could really do this whole thing. We can do like the wizardy thing, and just and make a whole mythology about it. And in the span of that night, we already knew who we wanted to try to get on vocals, and it happened pretty quickly after that.
Jumping ahead, your most recent album is Chaos Vector. You guys released that earlier this year via Blood Blast Distribution. How long had the songs for that album been in development, and what was the process for writing and recording those?
Well, the first song that we wrote for that album was the title track, Chaos Vector. We wrote it intentionally just so we could have a shorter song. Most of our material at that time was 6, 7, 10, or 11 minutes. And we needed an extra song for the Bodum tour. Otherwise, we were just going to be stuck with a 3-song set. So we intentionally wrote a shorter song just to have another track to play. And from there, just any downtime we had, we just kept working on other riffs and other new material. And next thing you know, we were sitting on 5 or 6 songs thinking, okay, we got something going here. We got a theme, and let's head to the studio with it. And then COVID hit, and it just put everything on an extremely frustrating delay.
Did that give you extra opportunities, though, as far as fleshing out the material and thinking about the things in the writing process?
It did. We slowed the writing process down a little bit. We did our own scratch tracks and laid everything down and made sure that the songs were arranged, and we had the final arrangements rather than doing that in the studio. So we had all that mapped out and everything, and we were able to be a lot more efficient when we decided to go into the studio. It was in June of 2020? Yeah, June of 2020 is when we started, I think, recording. And the process just went really, really smoothly. So, we're going to work that way from now on.
Yeah.
It's
nice that the pandemic maybe gave you some ideas and tools. So the Metal Debate Podcast reviewed Chaos Vector quite positively at the time of its release. But I'll be honest in saying that since that time, it's really grown on me. It's become one of my faves of 2022. How has the material aged in your own minds, and have you been pleased generally with the response from fans and critics?
So far, the fan response has been extremely positive. Critic response is hit or miss. People either really like it or they really dislike it. It's difficult to try and make your own kind of metal that you can just say, I want this one to be heavy, and I want the next one to be melodic, and this next one, let's put something folky in it. A lot of reviewers and critics, they don't like change-ups like that, but we don't like to niche down. We just kind of want to do what we want to do,
and what we do fun. Ends up sounding like us. It doesn't matter if it's a doomy riff or a black metal, blackened riff or what have you. It's become who we are, and I think that was something we really nailed down on this album. I think Tome / Become None. The songs were a little bit more chaotic. They didn't have the same flow. I think the songs on this record have a better flow to them. They're still diverse. I think we've grown a lot as a band, and I'm still quite happy with it. I listen to it, and now I hear we're currently writing some new stuff already, and so we're continuously evolving. It still sounds like us again, but it's just growing, and I think that we look to grow. We don't want to just fit in a niche and stay there and keep doing the same thing.
As much as I like bands like, Cannibal Corpse has been doing death metal for how long now? And it's awesome every single time. They're amazing guys. But I'm not always in the mood for just straight death metal. I like a little variety, and I get to actually make that variety in this band. Have a lot more fun with it. And I don't want the music and the creative process to stagnate, so that's part of the reason why we decided to do a concept album, and we refuse to niche down to any specific subgenre and just make it our own.
Well, I applaud the diversity. So many great songs. The epic Terminus Egress, one of my faves. The title track certainly is a pounder. But Apostasy is one that's grown on me since the first few listens. The pacing on that one, I just tell you guys, I think it's almost perfect. I know you all produced a concept video for that track. Tell me a little bit about that song and why you felt like it was good for expanding into the visual medium.
Well, the song actually, funny enough, came about. We were going to recut an album from a song from our first EP. And, we started talking, and we just decided, no, we don't want to do that. We need to write one more song for the record. So, I wrote, the main riff and structure for Apostasy. So it almost didn't happen. And, but it came together. It was one of those songs that we, a couple of riffs, we started jamming it, and everything just came together really fast. A song like Terminus Egress, that was a process. That took a long time for us to really craft that one the way we wanted to. Apostasy was like, bam, right out of the gate, and everything fell into place. And I think it showcases a little bit of everything we do. It's got some groove, it's got some blackened riffs, it's got some clean, a little bit of proggy stuff. It even has like a sort of a metalcore style breakdown in the middle of it. So, yeah, it's and it made sense because of the story that the song tells to try to do a video for that. And I'll let Blind talk to that a little bit because that's his baby.
Well, I mean, ultimately the video was shot locally with what we had and what was at our disposal.
No budget.
It was a no budget music video, and we had fun with it. Ultimately, if there was a budget involved, we would have done a lot more to try and tie it into the concept album a little bit more. But that's what we had, and that was also still while the pandemic was raging on, and a lot of people were getting sick around here. So we tried to keep things small, tried to keep it intimate, and the videographer that we used, Rachel Craig Media, she did an awesome job. And since both Gog and I come from a background in film, we got to work pretty heavy-handedly with Rachel on how we wanted the shots to be, what we wanted it to look like, how the kind of movement that we wanted to do for it. In our previous music videos, Tomas Mortveit, we just tell him what we're doing, and he just goes. He is a machine, and he makes amazing content. With Rachel, she's a little bit newer, but she's been working at it for a long time. But we had a vision in mind, so we say we kind of looking over her shoulder the whole time and be like, "Oh yeah, that's nice. Let's do that."
Yeah, thanks for your patience, Rachel. While we,
Well, that's awesome. Sounds like you guys made the most of the resources that you had for that video. I am curious, Blind, you had alluded earlier to the challenge, let's call it, when you write songs that can be a little lengthy, and now you have a whole new album's worth of material. When it comes to creating a set list for a show like tonight, what do you guys think about as far as including old favorites, but also wanting certainly to highlight the new material and just the opportunity to play new songs live that you haven't done?
Oh, if it was up to me, we'd just be playing all of our stuff. Every show.
I'll stick around. If you guys want to do that, I'm up for it.
But unfortunately, with the material that we write tending to be a little on the longer side, and people don't have the patience to stick around for a 2-hour blackened progressive heavy metal set. It's
we found about an hour is probably the best. It's people are you're fighting a lot of different things for people's attention nowadays between their phones and the media and this and that and the other. So it used to be back in the day. I'm an older guy, when we would I cut my teeth in the Austin music scene way back when, and you'd play a 2-hour set and you didn't go on until midnight, and everybody was hanging out and doing the thing. But now there's just so many other options and so many things to do that about an hour, we could easily do a lot more than that, and I'd love to do it. But I think that tends to hold the audience, and keeps them from getting too bored. Because now, everybody has to go outside to smoke and everything now, and then they go outside and they start smoking, and then they start looking at their phone, and they've missed 4 songs of your set, and I know how it is. That's life.
Or with our songs, going outside to smoke and looking at your phone, they've missed a song and a half.
Right.
But then they start thinking, oh, I wonder if that new season of whatever bullshit show on Netflix is out yet. I got to get home and check that out.
It's funny. People don't like staying out past midnight anymore, and that's the way it is.
You're outing me as a morning person who's up most days at 5. Yeah, that's so. Well, let's get to what, for you guys, is one of the biggest pieces of news, that you all have plans in early 2022 to perform in Europe along with Atheist and Cadaver. How did that opportunity present itself?
Through our manager, Mark Clappel. He's the guitarist of Misery Index. He also works for Extreme Management Group, and they're kind enough to work with us. And he approached us and asked if we'd be interested in being on that bill, and we're like, well, of course. And we were lucky enough to submit and get chosen from the bands that submitted. It doesn't hurt that our sound guy Richie actually went on tour with Atheist, pre-pandemic as their sound man. So I'm sure that they knew who we were. They don't really, not that they, I don't know if they're fans or anything like that, but at least they were aware of who we were. And the promoter said, yeah, look, let's take these guys, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll see what happens. With the new variant that's raging through Europe right now, there's a chance it could be postponed, but hopefully not. We don't know yet. We've just been told to stay aware,
Yeah, unfortunately, that's been an issue. I mean, there have been a number of tours, Canadian and European bands wanting to come to the U.S. and play, that, you guys are just, I guess, all you can do is cross your fingers and hope.
Yeah, it'll happen eventually, and we'll be on it when it does. It's, this will be our first time going to Europe, so of course we're, super excited. We've had people telling us since the first show we played, you guys need to go to Europe. You guys need to go to Europe. You would, go over really well there. And so we're looking forward to doing that and, seeing what happens. I'm excited to play with I think the crowds are a little more passionate there, especially for metal. And so I think it's going to be really, really cool. And it's just another, keep trying to take, forward steps as you're growing your band. And that's what we're trying to do.
What do you think would be the best outcome of that? Is that the next step for Summoner Circle, to have that grow that European audience? Or do you all already get feedback from folks in Europe saying, yeah, we want you here? What's that relationship like?
We do get some feedback from Europe, mostly in Finland, Sweden, and Norway, where we do know a couple people, various through various bands, or just people that we know that live there. They tell their friends about us, and so there is a small following up there. Central Europe is a little bit harder to break into. A lot of Central Europe is not as big on heavy metal as Scandinavia is, but it's there. I've lived there for a while. I've seen the metalheads there. They do exist, but they're like here in the States. They're harder to find. They're not the popular crowd over there like they are in Sweden, Finland, Norway, and parts of Germany. They're really big into their pop music and their disco, and I don't know why disco, but it's still alive there for some reason.
Yeah. I think, you talk about, the roadmap. The roadmap is, for us, is to try to just get on the road and support this record as much as we can, whether that be in Europe or whether we throw something together here in the States later in the year, or, it's we're definitely working on things like that, whether it's, we end up doing an Indiegogo, self-tour, or we hook up with another band. There was an Italian band that may be coming here, and we may be hooking up with them, but can't say anything about it now. It's a super secret. It may not happen again because of coronavirus. So we'll just have to see what happens, and but yeah, it's we want to be on the road. We want to tour. We love getting out in front of people and playing live. I could never just do a studio project. I have to have an outlet to play, because I love the energy exchange between fans and band, and feeding off of that and giving back. It's a magical thing.
There's nothing like that live music experience. And that's what we're going to get tonight here at Brickyard in Knoxville. Now, the Metal Debate, our podcast is headquartered in Western Kentucky, so this is a little outside our normal scope of cities that we go to. Well, I am curious, because I don't get out here very often, what's the metal and music scene like in East Tennessee generally? And how do you think that the bands and venues here are doing coming out of the pandemic?
Well, Knoxville actually has a really good history of a lot of really strong heavy metal acts. Everybody knows Whitechapel. They're from here, right here in Knoxville. Straight Line Stitch is also originally from here.
10 Years is from here.
10 Years, Copper. Copper's not around anymore, but Keith from Copper now performs with Breaking Benjamin. So there is a long history of bands coming out of the Knoxville area. And the local scene, it's here. It's a scene.
There's a lot of talented musicians, more so than I thought when I moved here from Texas. I didn't know what I was getting into, and as far as musically and what the music scene was going to be like. But it's good. I won't say there's a million bands, but there are a lot of good bands. And not all metal, just in general. There's a pretty lively music scene in Knoxville.
Sweet. Well, beginning to wrap up with you guys, after the performance tonight with Paladin and Neanderthal, give us just the overview of the band's plans going forward, obviously the Europe tour, and when can fans expect to hear the follow-up to Chaos Vector?
We don't know. We're still working out the details on the writing process right now. I would like to say that we could have something hammered out. Right now we're still tossing up whether or not we're going to do it as an EP or keep working towards the next full-length album.
It feels like an EP is the thing to do. It
kind of does.
And why is that? Because I have so many conversations with bands who are trying to think through that decision.
Mostly, I think, just because the way people are consuming music now, right? I mean, not everybody has the patience anymore, or to sit through a 10-song concept album with 10-minute songs. I think sometimes you want to put some stuff out there for them. It's easier to turn around an EP and get it out in front of people more quickly. And I don't know. I just think it's it's what feels right to me right now.
Yeah, a lot of the bands that I listen to, groups like Orbit Culture and Zeal and Ardor, they're not putting out full-length albums. They're putting out singles at a time, and once they release enough singles, they go, all right, now it's all on a single album if you want that. But, just popping out singles, popping out artwork for it, and the occasional music video. That seems to be the direction that the heavy metal community is leaning towards.
Yeah, and as an old school guy who loves concept albums and things like that, I don't know. It's different. I like being able to do a concept and get really in depth and have an entire body of work. An hour or 45 minutes worth of material. It just feels more complete to me, I guess. But I think, you got to evolve.
Yeah.
And if this is the way that the music industry is going and we want to stay relevant, we evolve or die.
Well, EP or album, I know it's going to be awesome based on the material that you've written to date. Final question, what is the best way for fans to purchase music and merchandise from Summoner Circle, including the latest album, Chaos Vector?
Well, you can purchase it from our indie merch site. That's indiemerch.com/Summoner Circle. You can also just get there from summonercircle.com and click the thing that says store up at the top. That'll take you right there. It's easier than remembering a URL, and it's the name of the band. So, yeah, summonercircle.com. We have everything from T-shirts to, flags and patches and CDs, all available through there. There's even a couple of custom T-shirts from the singles that we put out that aren't available anywhere else. Like, we don't sell them at our shows or anything like that. So our music's also on Bandcamp and iTunes and Apple Music and Amazon and pretty much all the standard streaming services. So you can find us there as well.
I will say that those 3 singles T-shirt designs has some amazing artwork by Sabercore, who also did the cover artwork for Become None. He's an amazing artist, and we had him do the 3 single pieces, and they're gorgeous. They're beautiful. Very Lovecraftian.
Yes.
Well, I'll definitely be picking up something at your merch table tonight, but I'm mostly excited to rock out with you guys, go down the Worm Tunnel with you all. And guys, best of luck. Fingers crossed in the European tour and for everything going forward.
Awesome. We really thank you for having us, and thank you for supporting.